Hi friends, this is the math lesson for 3rd grade. This is Unit 3, Lesson 13. We will be working on page 211 today. We will not be completing page 212 because that involves being in the classroom. So we are just going to work on page 211 today. So as you can see, there are 3 different types of ways to show information. The first way you can show information is through a tally chart. The second way is a frequency chart or table, and the third way is a line plot. Now, they all go together because they are all displaying the same type of data. So let's kind of break down each one. So a tally chart. On the left-hand side, you have the age of basketball players. So that tells us right here. And then we can make tallies based on how many there are. So one line equals 1. So this one has 1, this one has 3. I'm going to come back to this one in a second. This one has 4, and this one has 2. Now, when you use tallies and you get to 5, you are going to do a diagonal line. So tallies, you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so the 5th mark in tallies is a diagonal line. Okay, now we could use a frequency table to show the same information. It shows how many times the events occur. So for age 7, there was 1. So there's number 1. For age 9, there was 3 tallies. So that's a 3. For age 9, there were 5 tallies. So there's a 5. 10 was 4. Here's your 4. And 11 was 2. There's your 2. Okay. And finally, you can make what's called a line plot to show the frequency of the data. So on a line plot, you have numbers down here. And then for each piece of data, so for each tally gets a black dot. So for 7, there's 1 black dot. For 8, there's 3. 1, 2, 3. I can easily count each one of them because they're separated. For 9, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 10, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for 11, there's 2. 1, 2. So these are 3 different ways to show the data. Now, you can pretty much use any of these to help you solve these problems, but just like with the bar graphs, it's nice to have a plot or a visual to look at. Okay, let's take a look at our questions for today. Number 1, how many basketball players are 10 years old? So you can look at any of these different tables and plots and get your answer. However, one is going to be easier than the other. You could count the tallies for 10. You could just look at the number, or you could count the dots. Probably easiest to just look at the number, right? So we have 10 years old, there are 4. So 4 would be our number. And then basketball players. So 4 basketball players. Okay, number 2. Which age appears most often? Which age appears most often? Now, again, you could use any of these. However, for this one, the line plot is going to be the best bet. You can look at the line plot and see which of these ages has the most dots, which is also the tallest. So if you look here, this one has 1, 3, 5, 4, and 2. But I notice that 9 years old appears the most often. Number 3, are there more players younger than 9 or older than 9? So let's go back to our Again, we could use the tally chart, we could use the frequency table, but we'd have to do some adding and some subtracting. If we use our line plot, I know that I want to know how many are less than 9 and how many are older than 9. All you have to do is count the dots. Now, we're not going to count 9 because it wants to know either younger or older. So take a minute, count those dots for 7 and 8 versus 10 and 11. So for 7 and 8, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. For 10 and 11, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are more children older than 9. All right, and our last question for today, it wants you to write your own question. You can use numbers 1, 2, and 3 to guide you, to help you figure out a question you can ask. You can ask about which one appears the least often. You can ask how many are 10 and 11 years old. You could ask how many are older than 8, how many are younger than 10. Anything like that would work. So right now, you're going to pause the video and write your question. All right, my friends, try and answer your question as a bit of a challenge. And once you are done with that, that is it for our lesson today. Great job. We'll see you later.